Yeah. So let's start. Are you already on the job? Yeah. How many of you? Good. Google form, are you filling it up? No? Yes, no? We'll start from now. No? Waiting for our colors. Yeah, hi guys, online. Are you able to?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, Kalavati. Are you able to work on the form?
Yes, sir, I posted to you, sir.
No, the one right now in front of you. Have you done that?
I will do that.
No, is there a mismatch in what I'm asking? Are you able to see that today? What is the first question that has changed? Is that what it is? Then I have the wrong form. What is the second one?
Share it in Google, sir, please. So the WhatsApp, sir.
One minute, 1 minute. Maybe I have the okay. It doesn't matter. Maybe I have the wrong form. Maybe I have the wrong form to which I have uploaded. No, I think that's not what you. What's the first question? After clicking on this, I want you to fill this. I want you to fill this now. That was yesterday. That was yesterday. What do you want me to do? Yeah, I know. Correct. Okay. You should be able to. You should be able to scan it and get it right. Yes, no, or do you want me to post it on the? It's already on the chat and. Are you getting it now? Is there still a confusion or no? This is it on the chat. And you want me to put it up on WhatsApp? Yes, sir. Okay. Anytime for you. Anytime for you. Okay, there you go. Now fill it up. It's on WhatsApp. Okay. Come. And I'm going to give you guys about 10 minutes to fill up these. Okay, what's the first? I just want to make sure we're on the same page. What is the first question? Okay, so go ahead. Kalavati. And who else?
Yes, sir, I got it, sir.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, so you all have the right form. You guys have the right form. Let's see who is here. Sanjay is there. I mean, Sanjay is host. Who is Sanjay? Sanjaya.
Yes,
are you
sir.
doing?
Yeah, I'm doing.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds. Is it easy? It's tricky, but let's see who does this. It very clearly says if you do all 10 of them, you're pretty smart. Yeah. So. Or you can talk together on the subject. Are you talking about the subject? Seriously? Yes. Not about the movie? No, okay. Yeah. This one, right? Whoever completes this deserves a round of applause. So I guess some of you might not be able to, right? So you just finished Buddha Purnima last week. So, so how are you doing? Good. I completed a few. You're not able to complete the first one and the second one.
It's still not so tricky, sir.
How many of you completed the first question? Quite a few of them now. Now we have to teach Buddha now. Are we?
Open for it, sir.
Okay, how many of you completed the second one? And you're sure that that's the right answer?
No.
Come on, come on. Hey, I have a couple of things to do. This is the last class, of course, you know that, which means that we work till about 5:36 and then we leave. No. Yeah. Okay, no problem. Okay, I think you guys have now understood me when I say that. Okay, so what we'll do is, of course, I want you all to try this. It sounds tough, but anybody who's got some idea, I'll give you some ideas right now for you to whoever is struggling. But then I want you to try it for some time. Then I also asked you some questions on the WhatsApp couple of days back. We'll discuss that. Then we'll go to branding. Then we'll go to Porter's 5 forces. Then we'll do, I guess, something else. And then, yeah, challenges. Okay. Yeah. Oh, what is that? Question for exam. This is question for exam. Actually, I don't announce it. I hope they're not recording it. This is the question paper. Yeah, it's recording. Oh my God. Anyway, that's Professor Sanjay, technically. Right? Yeah. Okay, so what's the third? 1, 2 gone. Let's see who is there. Anybody who has attempted. I think I don't want to. Let's see. I will not share the answers. This is your responses. This is your. What was that? Where is the answers for that? What is it called? The cryptic. And nobody has done anything. Whoever wrote that. Okay. Yeah. Far-sighted, long-sighted, and purpose in life. What are we talking about? Very easy. Vision, mission, and okay, you want to do strategy or objective, goal, 3 words. Fantastic. Very good. But what's this first one? Name. Okay. The second one? Virtually at where you stay. What is the next thing I asked you after, apart from email? I gave you the answer. Email. There's a nut, right? There's a nut. All emails have a nut, and that's a virtual address, right? Correct? Okay. Then this is done. In this new world, parents are not as important as children. What are we talking about? Emphasis. Always the rest of the quiz, you should be able to answer me now. Emphasis is on the capital letters always. It's not P, it is C. What are we talking about? Read it. In the new world, parents are not as important as children. So it's P is not important, C is important. Products are not important, customers are important. Very good. Then Dhoni told Scott Adams, what? So what are the capital letters there? Scott. What does Scott stand for? I told you that strength. Yeah, weakness. We changed weakness to challenges, opportunities, strength. Okay. Dhoni told Adams, very rarely I open the innings. So what is the next capital letters out there? VRIO. Okay, so what are we talking about? We are talking about SWOT and, okay, did you get it? Okay, and now can you do the remaining part of it? Now, what is this? In McKinsey's farm, two animals stare at the sky and question about each other. What is the answer, Sanjay, Kalavati? Where's the word McKinsey used? G, McKinsey. What are the two animals we have talked about in our entire dog?
And cow.
Dog and cow. When they stare at the sky, what do they see? And when the question comes up, what is it? So what is the answer for this? Dog, cow,
Stars
and question mark.
and cash.
And cash or question? No, question. Okay. Now bazaars have sewage treatment plants. What is that? What are the capital letters here? Forget the bazaar. Huh? STP. We're talking about STP. Segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Okay. Then G, guess my question. What are the capitals here? GMQ. What is GMQ?
Guess my question.
Darkness magic question.
That's 17 hours gone down the drain.
Magic.
But seriously, what is GMQ? Gartner's Magic Quadrant. Okay, so you got the first part. Guess my question is what? Gartner's Magic Quadrant. And then very rarely those who see the map know how to go there. What are the two quadrants of the two X and Y axis of Gardner's Magic Quadrant? Vision, ability to visualize, and ability to deliver. Correct? So what I'm saying is people know how to read the maps, but they don't know how to go there, which is you may have the vision, but you may not have the ability to go and do it. Okay. Then this is easy. I'm not giving you any hint. 7 wise men, including the wicket keeper, sitting together. What are we talking about? Online. Yeah. So what is the answer for that? Yeah. So those are, so where does that, what is it? Buying center. Perfect. Buying center. And finally, bigger the box of chocolates, more the camshaft power consumption. What does that mean? Bigger the box, we discussed about, what did we discuss about? Yeah, correct. Somewhere you learn. Pricing strategy, what was it about? Like if you have you buy 3 boxes of soap, you consume more. Kellogg's buy. So what are the letters in capital? Consumption, adjusted margin. Okay, done. Good job. I think that's it. Okay, guys. So there's some responses coming here. Okay, where are the responses? Email ID somebody's given. I think I should not go here. This will be trouble. The first thing you write, vision. Okay, good, good. Now everybody is filling it up. Good job. Okay, but hang on. That's not what I am here for. I asked some of you, those of you who filled in this form, how many of you are here in the classroom? Physically? None of you. Brilliant. The other one, what is your definition of marketing? What did you learn? Why is B2B? I think I'll probably open the form and see, show you. You've forgotten everything, right? That's the whole idea. You can rejoin the course. This one? So how, okay, pay attention. Okay, time out. I see some of you have answered this. I don't know how many of you have answered this and how many of you haven't, but it doesn't really matter. So how has the definition of marketing changed for you over the last 3 months? It's just for me to understand how much have you guys actually learned, or how much have I, more importantly, how much have I delivered for you? That's okay. We are not bothered about that answer. As an employee sitting in an obscure office, I said most of you have answered yes, irrespective of where I am. I have some role to play in the marketing because I may be a face, though I may be an invisible face for the company. Why do management gurus believe B2B marketing is sales is more personal than B2C? Some of you have answered because some of the answers that I have are very nice ones. I just want to make sure that you guys know it. When the buying circle, some of you have answered it very well. I actually highlighted them. So those of you who are here with some highlights, I want to raise it because B2B marketing is a long-term relationship. It's all about relationship and things like that. B2B happens on trust. B2B, you're directly connected to the customer and things like that. Good job, whoever have answered this. Then we had a question on product life cycle. The question that I asked you was, the question I asked you was why, while the buying, no, not this. Product have life cycles. They are born, they die, they grow, and they eventually die. Who decides the phases of product life and why are they important? What is the actual answer for that? Some of you have given answers like, some of the answers are not very interesting. That's why I see. Some of you have given answer like growth, maturity, decline, and all that. But I hope it's still recording despite the power being off. Okay. But the thing that I was interested was that you will actually talk about BCG metrics because some products are dogs, some products are cash cows. So you don't throw, you throw them out. And again, I wanted you to use terms like market share, relative market share, because some of you are still answering not like MBA students, are still answering like the way you would have answered a couple of months before. Never mind. Then the other question that I asked you was, why aren't great ideas always turning out to be? Why aren't great ideas always turning out to be money churners for the company? That's exactly what we talked about, the Gardner's Magic Quadrant. You may have a great idea, but you don't know how to fulfill that idea. That was one thing. Then, what was the other one? Why are absorbing stories? Why do absorbing stories make better sales for the company? I might be actually forced to move you guys separately if you don't listen. Okay, so So why do absorbing stories make better sales? What is the reason for that? Why do great stories get you attracted to it? Because stories help you to connect. I don't know how much of YouTube are you guys watching, but there is this new ad from an academy or something, which is about somebody falling sick in an aircraft. I don't know how many of you have seen that. And is there a doctor? And maybe I'll try to see if we can play that ad. That's a very absorbing thing. So you must have emotional connection with your customer. That is the only thing that I wanted. Then I guess that's a last answer, right? The world has matured. Okay, this is where I was a bit disappointed that not many of you got the idea. The world has matured. We no longer, you see, why am I being so cryptic today? Why am I not giving you direct questions? Is because in the rest of your life, you'll never get a direct question. You have to see what data is coming and make meaningful out of that data. Nobody's going to come and ask you, give me a SWOT analysis. Nobody's going to come and tell you, are we doing bad because of bad market share? Nobody's going to come and ask you a question, is this product a star, a dog, or whatever it is? But these are indications that come out to you, and you must be able to use them in your MBA learning into that. So that's the reason why I'm saying the world has matured. We are no longer always fight. We no longer fight for the bigger slice of the pie. We often work to increase the size of the pie, and better still, we bake a cake for ourselves. So what was that about? How many of you remember a term that I had told you called Ansoff matrix? Any idea what is Ansoff matrix? How do you increase your business? There are 4 ways in way you increase. Go to a new market, or add more products to the same market, or you deliver more products for the same customer, the 4 things. So the idea was that we no longer fighting for the same pie. We want to increase the market. We want to go to newer territories, segmentation, targeting. So the geographical segmentation and things like that. So that's it, done now. And let's get to the class. Any questions on these so far? The 27 of you here. Any questions that you have? So this is you can be, one thing is you're assured that's the last Google form we have. Okay, is that good or bad? I don't know. But let's open up. So branding, Porter's 5 forces. What do we do first? So let's do Porter's 5 forces. Share. No. Stop share. Share screen. Okay, what's the time? Just a minute to 2. No? Okay, good. Can you see this slides? Yeah. So now tell me, let's get into a discussion and then we'll see what happens. Why do some companies do well and why do some companies don't do well? What is the reason? What happens to the whole world? They are not doing something different. Okay. Let's get into a little more specific. I'll give you one example and then maybe you can do it. There was a time when no auto guy would come when you asked him. You want to go to Malaysia? He's saying, I'm going to Pina or something like that. Pina, incidentally, depends where you go. You might go where. But now, what has happened to them? They're willing to come. They're mostly willing to come. What happened? They have competitors, Ola, Uber, who have come and been able to throw them out. So there's something which they never dreamt about, came and threw them out. Okay. Now there was Nokia sitting very comfortably, my most loved phone. And then what happened to me? So what happened? competition came from somewhere and threw them out, right? Threw them out. That is one. So we have one. What have we covered? Substitutes. There's the new. Okay, there's a new entrant which is Ola coming in, is throwing you out. Then the substitute, which is Android coming and throwing out. There's a technological change. Then Tata, Docomo coming in. Yeah, all that is part of it. Then what happens? There's another. Let's look at one more problem, and then we'll try to see how do we do it. There was a. I mean, I can't get the right thing, but there was a lot of excitement about the Covaxin. There was a lot of excitement about Covaxin, but that excitement has died. A reason for that? No. What happened to what happened to Covaxin? It's a great product, but not who is saying it's not effective?
Timing.
No. I'm trying to get the 5 forces. I'm just before I get to it, I'm just trying to warm you up. Who actually said it's not effective? Scientists.
Foreign countries.
Or more precisely, WHO. So product might be good, but the buyer is not buying. The buyer. So now you have one is substitute, another is technology, the other is buyer. The just yesterday I had yesterday Saturday, right? So I thought it was that on Friday. Yeah, Friday I had today's Friday. So yesterday itself, today is Saturday. Today is Saturday. Sorry. Yesterday I had lunch with a guy who is from a company called Global Calcium, and they do all this calcium drugs and all that. So I've been asking him, hey, business must be good. He says, yeah, business is good, but the problem in China, there is Shanghai, there's a problem. And so what is his problem? Raw material importing. Why? What is the problem? So one more time, let's keep digging you on the same point. Raw material supply. So why is the supply chain broken? Yeah, come. I'm getting you to get that. Yeah, what is happening with that? The supplier is not supplying. That's as simple as that. I believe, and I hope I'm not on records for that. I believe that all this is an excuse by the Chinese to test your patience, possibly. So what is happening now? The business is good, but there's no supplies. So we talked about business can be affected if there is a substitute coming in and throwing you out of business. Business can be affected if there is a technological change. Boom, you're out of business. Business could be when the buyer is not buying. Business is when the supplier is not selling. And lastly, I'm trying to see how we can look at that. Lastly, what could be the other one? Product. No, let me see what is happening in the last one before getting into the real subject. Why are airlines failing? Why is no airline happy? There are plenty of competitors coming in, or even the new competitors are not doing well. Because there is a lot of, anybody want to answer? There's a lot of infighting. There's a lot of infighting going on. Jet doesn't like Indigo. Indigo doesn't like these guys. So there's a lot of infighting. And you know what happens when there is a lot of infighting, right? Example of a lot of infighting is you've seen, the story about 2 cats and a monkey, or 2 monkeys and a cat, depends. They're trying to fight for a piece of loaf of bread. Then the cat comes in and then he says, I'm not able to balance it. So the 5 problems that any industry faces any sector faces. What are the 5 problems? One is substitute coming and damaging the market. Second is technology coming in, or a slightly better word, an alternate solution coming in. The third is the buyer acting smart. Fourth is the supplier acting arrogant. And the fifth is you guys are fighting with each other. So these are the 5 problems. So, oh my God, that's one of the Porter's 5 forces. Which one was that? That was infighting. Okay. Which one is that? I guess he muted, right? I think he muted. Okay, no problem. This is part of life. So Porter is a guy called Michael Porter. He said that there are in any industry, these 5 things can damage you. And they can come from nowhere, and they can really make your life pretty miserable, right? So what are they? One is, of course, competition. One is new entrants, buyers, suppliers, and substitutes. The more or less what we discussed. Okay, so these are called the Porter's 5 forces, and we will look at how they are going to roll out. Okay, this is, as always, for something for you to read. And let's look at the 5 forces that I said. The threat of new entrants. The new entrants are going to come in and they're going to throw you out. Right? That's best example. I think Chennai was having a good run and Mumbai was having a new run. And then you have 2 new teams added up. I mean, that's a bad example, but I just thought I'll just bring in something. So these 2 guys have come from nowhere. So threat of new entrants is always there, always there, always there. Then we talked about the bargaining power of the customer. The bargaining power of the customer is actually just like we said. Okay, unless and until you give me a better discount, unless and until you do something, and then the threat of substitutes. Of course, the bargaining power of suppliers. We'll talk more about them, and the rivalry within the industry. Now I'm going to throw this. If you've understood this well, perfectly well. Any questions on Porter's 5 forces? Okay, no, perfect, right? I mean, you can close your eyes and answer them. Perfect. So now, now I'm going to reverse the question to a different meaning. So let's say before the new entrant comes, there are a couple of players, right? There are a couple of players. Now, as an organization or as a group of companies, how do you stop a new entrant coming in? What would you do to ensure a new entrant doesn't come in? Launching new products would ensure an entrant doesn't come in. Bring out new features, but then the guy can bring in 2. Brainstorm a new feature. Okay, let's look at another story. Let's look. Huh? Keep a track on the market. Okay, what else? Retain the customer. Okay, what else? Okay, let's do it. We are done with SWOT. We are done with VRIO. We are done with pricing. We have done with what else? STP. We're done with wants, needs, and everything. So none of your answers should have these points. So what else could you do? Think about it. Think about it. What is it that you can have? The next page will give you the answers right away. So what is it that you would do? So let's say you're a group of kids playing, and then the new kid comes to the apartment. Does he join you very quickly? No, because you are ganging up. And how do you stop him from coming? Not let them in. How? Huh? No communication. What else? Okay. Okay. Good. Come on with it. I can do a better job than all of you because I've been doing this as a business or as a part of my, try to make sure. But they come in, no, but they are entering. How do you stop them from entering? How do you stop them? Think about it. I think you're still not thinking smart. Buy them. Okay, fair enough. That's a bit of a thinking on that line. Something else. Make them realize that they cannot enter. Okay, fair enough. Let's see what happens. But you understood what happens when a new entrant comes. When a new entrant comes, what happens? He shakes up the market. You are sitting comfortably with let's say 20% market share, 4 players, each of you having okay. Now I want you to give me the answer. I'm going to give you an example and I want you to give me the answer. And you don't do it. Either one of us, either me or all of you are walking out of class. Now there is Google Pay. There is hang on. No, Google Pay, Paytm, and Phone Pay out there. WhatsApp is excited to enter into this market, but WhatsApp is not able to enter the market. Why? What's the real problem? What is the real problem that WhatsApp is not able to? Or you mean the market is saturated and then
Maybe people are not okay to accept WhatsApp as a payment gateway.
who is not willing to accept that?
People.
Just reframe your question. I mean, reframe your answer.
I think consumers. Yeah, I mean, customers are not okay to accept WhatsApp as a
I
payment.
would love to do it. I mean, it's very easy to do a WhatsApp payment if that.
Maybe it's not secured.
Okay, so
or
now
we are not used to it.
Now start thinking on the secure line and then give me an answer. Lengthy process for whom? To do what? To change or to bring in. Okay, almost getting there, But let me see if I can get you the answer. It's not in the order that I want. Where is it? Where's my first? I think I missed the very first one. Bargaining power of customer, threat of new entrants. Yes. You see this slide? Oh, I went the other way around. So what happens when the new entrant comes? He's going to come and shake the market. Correct? The new entrant comes. What you do is you make barrier to entry. You're going to make it so very difficult for him to enter. What does that mean? That you ensure that the cost of entering into the market is going to be very, very expensive. Meaning that there are a lot of smart companies in today's India. There are companies who can do a job better than Reliance. There's a company which can do a job better than L&T. There are lots of other smart companies. But why are they not entering? Is because these big players will make the barrier of entry unachievable. That means to say that I have a product. Trust me, I have some great product with me, and I can simplify the lives of the Indian government by 20%. But the guys who are supplying computers to the government, the guys who are supplying the services to the government, the guys who are building the highways to the government, what they are going to do is they're going to say, we are going to make the barrier of entry very tough. That means to say, Mr. Ramesh, your startup should have a turnover of 1,000 crores. Your startup should give a bank guarantee of 50 crores, 100 crores. You must have completed 5 such jobs. Impossible. How can I ever complete those jobs? So what is going to happen is they're going to make the barrier of entry to be very, very difficult. You understand what I'm saying? Is that that's going to become very, very important. Now, WhatsApp thought it's very easy to come in. But the Indian regulation is so complicated, so complicated. They're saying 2 years, 3 years, they are not able to do it. One is, of course, the government rules are very bad. Second is, I'm sure somebody is trying to make sure that there is a group of people who are making sure that the entry barrier is going to be very, very tough. So what happens was there was something called the license Raj. And I told about the license Raj in the very first thing. Before 1990, there were two scooter manufacturing companies, which was Bajaj and somebody else. I think Vijay Scooters or something. There were only two scooters. And you had to wait for 3 months, 6 months to get a scooter. Crazy, right? Why would you have to wait for 6 months? But the government said that we will not, you can only manufacture 10,000 scooters. And that's it. You cannot even manufacture the 10,000 one scooter. Then the new government came, the Narsim Rao government came, and they said, we're going to open up. We're going to open up. Now, when they open up, who is going to buy the Bajaj scooter? Nobody's going to buy the Bajaj scooter. Nobody's going to buy the old Vijay scooter. Nobody's going to buy that old Ambassador. Nobody's going to buy that old Fiat Premier Padmini, whatever that is. So what these groups of companies, they are called the Bombay Club. They joined and kept on pleading with the government that don't do it, don't do it. Because if you do it, we will be out of business. So what they did was the barrier of entry became very, very tough. So one way that you ensure a new entrant doesn't come is to make sure that the barrier of entry becomes very high. I was hoping to say that you playing cricket with your group, you can only come and play provided you bring a bat and ball or something like that. So you make the barrier of entry very, very, very tough. So that is one way in which you will always notice that the other guy is not able to enter the group, primarily because of barrier to entry. If you look at what happened to the Covaxin, it's probably a great product, but then they said you must undergo some 1 million tests and trials, which may not be the same condition for Pfizer and Moderna. They're just making your life miserable because they know that once you come, you will disrupt the market. So that is one thing. That is called the barrier to entry. I have two examples here. One is, of course, you understood license, Raj. Airtel versus cable operators and Jio versus cable operators. Airtel versus cable operators is my personal experience. Is that we have this? I have an ACT connection in my house. Okay, I don't know if I told this already or not. So the new Airtel guy came and installed the tower or that pole in my house, in front of my house. And next day morning, somebody cut the fiber. So it just that the ACT guy will do anything. I'm assuming that he did it. So to ensure that the new guy doesn't enter the market. Now I am worried now that if I defy him and take a connection, definitely he's going to cut it and I'm going to be in big trouble. So that is one. The second thing was when Jio started introducing their services, and I was interacting with one of the senior VPs at Jio, I told them that when are you coming to Bangalore? He said, Bangalore will be the last city we are going to come. He said, why? We lay the fiber and somebody pulls it overnight. So these are threat of a new entrant and how do you stop him from coming in? These are, of course, illegal ways, but the legal ways is bring in government regulation. Make sure that he doesn't get into it. You should make sure that all of this happen. So if you have understood this, let's look at the other one, which is bargaining power of the customer. So the customer says, you give me 20% discount or I'll go away. Or you do this and I will go away. So now, how does a company ensure that the customer doesn't go away? What is that? Increase that, reduce the price. Increase the price, he'll go. Increase the price, oh, that is like the sale that you have, where you increase it overnight. And so what is it? What is the bargaining power of the customer? Okay, firstly, why does the customer bargain? Why does a customer bargain? Okay. So let's understand why do new enter. Okay, let's go back 2 steps. Why does any market have a new entrant? Why does a new entrant get into a market? Because the market is lucrative, because the market is promising, because the market tells you that if I do something like she said, if I do something nicer, I might be able to move away a large percentage of these customers. And I know something that you don't know, as I might get into a better thing. And for all you know, Geo said, I'm going to enter a market, I'll come with the state of the art technology, and so I'm going to come into it. Nobody could play the license Raj with Geo, because Geo itself is, they say, doesn't matter who is the prime minister, it runs from Antilla. The country runs from Antilla. You know what is Antilla, right? What is Antilla? Mukesh Ambani's house. We just want to make sure you guys got it right. So that is what it is. Now, if you understood the why new entrants, why do customers bargain? Or the word is power. What is that power that the customer has when he's bargaining? No, the customer. Why is the customer bargaining? He has a he is one of the biggest buyers. So wait, isn't that the whole thing? Like, let's say, I can't think of an example. Let's say pizza. I used to have one example. Let me see if I can open it up. The largest consumer of newspaper, and it's a raw newspaper print, is Times of India, right? Because Times of India is the largest paper circulated in India. Now, imagine if there is supplier A who is supplying the raw paper to Times of India. Times of India says, I'm not buying from you. What happens to him? The largest customer is walking away. The largest customer is walking away. I have a company in which my biggest customer is Accenture. Accenture gives me 60% of the business, and A, B, C, D, E, F, G to 26 gives me the remaining 40%. Now, if Accenture threatens to walk away, what happened to my life? My life is going to be in a big misery. So I will do everything to retain the customer. So the bargaining power of the customer is the customer knows that I am giving him so much that the new car that Ramesh bought is because of me. I mean, that's an extreme thought process, but so now that is the bargaining power of the customer. So there is the one very good example that comes up is, how many of you know this company called Snapdeal? Snapdeal. I don't know if I've told this story, and Snapdeal and the lady at Gujarat, have I told that? So Snapdeal, you know who's Snapdeal, right? Snapdeal is like Flipkart and e-commerce platform. So this with Snapdeal as a background, let's move to a small town called Surat. In the small town called Surat, there was this not so very poor, but then a middle class lady who was doing some nice design and embroidery work on sarees. So she would do some nice, brilliant designs on the saree and go to every shop in Surat and say, please buy my sarees and sell them. So now this guy is the customer. The bargaining power of the customer starts there. So he says that, look, I'm going to take it from you. I'm going to keep it here. I'll only pay you 30 days after I have sold it. So till that time, and I'll not pay you the full amount. I'm going to make some 30% commission out of it and go. So the story goes on that she was leading a miserable life, going and begging there. Snapdeals opens up its outlet. She gets connected with Snapdeal, and she advertises her excellent sari work in Snapdeal, and she turns out to be 100 crore company. So now that used to be the typical pitch that you all know what is a pitch, and you all done that for the companies that you did in your assignment one. So that used to be a typical pitch of Snapdeal. But now the bargaining power of the customer was that I'm the only buyer. You have no other option, so I'll go away. Now she has Snapdeal coming in and does that. Now you understand the bargaining power of the customer. But look at the other example. Now every other company now, every other startup, every other product that is sold has to go via Amazon or Flipkart. Now they have bargaining power now because they have become so very big that unless and until you give them 30% discount, 40% discount, you cannot go anywhere. So a bargaining power of a customer is that because he's so very powerful and your business can come to a stop, boom, the moment he stops buying your product. So if you've understood bargaining power of customer, how do you stop the customer from moving away from you? That's the alternate process. I'm talking you what is bargaining power and how does a company typically stop him from moving away. If he offers more services, that's one example. Guys online, can I get an yes saying that you're listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what do you think is the answer? How do you hold on to your customer? How do you hold on to your customer? What is that? Giving, that's a thought process. What is that? Giving them a coupon card so that they will just start working around that idea. You might get some more ideas. Buy one, get one free. Okay. So what the point I'm saying is, if you look at all your credit cards, if you look at all your airline miles, why is it that people want to travel by jet even though there's a discounted price at Indigo? Why is it that people always go by Emirates and not go by some other airline? They have a loyalty program. Why is there a loyalty program? A loyalty program is designed in such a way that it stops your bargaining power. It stops your bargaining power. So now I am a frequent flyer by let's say the Skywards Emirates, and there is a cheaper flight, a better flight. But the moment I switch over, my miles get reduced. Why would I want to do that? I'm hoping that I'll make more miles on my office ticket so that I can take my wife out on the miles that we are doing it. So the bargaining power would be that make the exit very tough. Make the exit very tough. The more it becomes very tough for the exit, then it becomes. It also means that to use my services, if you look at the other thing about there are three kinds of buy in a business. What is the three kinds of buy? Rebuy, straight buy, rebuy, and new order. So this is again the buying power of the customer. The customer may act arrogant, but the entire permission of going through the phase of negotiation, working out a new price, is it really worth it? Let's continue with the same supplier. So that is what is the bargaining power of the customer. What is the third one? Threat of substitute. What is threat of substitutes called? The bargaining power of the supplier, right? Threat of substitutes. What is threat of substitutes? When an alternate process comes in and settles down. So you really want to replace this by another product. You want to replace this. So, but how do you challenge a threat of substitutes? The way to challenge a threat of substitute is to make compatibility challenges. You have my equipment in your office, but there's a cheaper, more efficient equipment in your office, but those equipments are not compatible. So I live with those, right? I mean, it's not easy, at least in my case, it's not easy for me to move from my Apple to my Windows, is because they want to make it so very complicated, so very, very complicated. Yes, so that is how it is. So porting is different. You lose a lot of data. You don't know how it works. You really don't know how to connect. Why are they doing that? They are ensuring that you don't, the substitute might be available, but it's so cumbersome for you to do it. And iOS is a very simple example, but there are lots of unique features. They're the way you connect, the way that communication happens, the way the header and thing on any communication device. That's the one. Then what is the, any questions, or you guys are doing fine? Yes. Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. 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 That is. So now you're making me skip a slide, which is perfectly fine. So you said, so let's understand what his question is. He's saying, you go ahead and tell me handling a new threat or a new entrant threat is when everybody is united and they make the access very difficult. That means I form a club. What is that called? Cellular Operators Association of India. COAI, Cellular Operators Association of India, was virtually every day they were crying in front of the minister, whoever was that telecom minister, saying that Jio is giving 6 months free, Jio is not charging this, Jio is doing all kinds of things. They were crying because they were a united body, and they were so. Provided the body is united, provided you are all united, united we stand, divided we break. We learned all that. So the alternate problem with that is what we call as industrial rivalry. Industrial rivalry. When there is fight between the people in the industry, then there is easy for somebody else to walk in, right? You both are fighting, I just enter. We have hundreds of such stories, right? I mean, the two friends want to fall in love with the other one, is the third guy who picks up, right? So that I always remember that joke which was there, is that India and Pakistan fought for Madhuri Dixit and US took it away or something like that. So, okay, so what is, when there is industrial rivalry, it's very easy for a new entrant to come in. But what if the industry unites? What happens when the industry unites? Like they all join hands together. Then what happens? What is the good part of it? No new guy will come in, but that is it good for the consumer when the new guy doesn't come in? No, we want new guy to come in. We want substitutes to come in. Industrial partnership is the biggest disaster that happens. Okay, now they cartel. If even right in front of your nose, this is happening. If you go and try to book an air ticket, if you try to book a bus ticket, Shamim Travels versus, I can't think of some old names, KGN Travels versus, if you look at it, the pricing is so close to each other. Why? It's because they're all united. Because they're all united, and they will ensure that no other guy comes. Do you think it's possible for you to come up with a new bus service, which is good? They will make your life miserable. They'll tell the policeman, catch him. Okay, they'll tell somebody else, the RTO, to do something for this. The guy might come in with the Volvo 6-axis, whatever that is. So the cartelling is the most dangerous thing that happens in this world. And what kind of cartelling? Your everything. There is OPEC. OPEC is oil organization of oil exporting countries. That's the biggest cartel. They'll ensure that the price of oil doesn't fall down. How do they do it? Because they all join together and say, hey, listen, there's a pandemic, so let's produce less oil. When there is less oil, the price of prices goes up. Now, what is happening is Russia has broken away from that organization because he has his own problems. Now he's saying, I'm not going to be part of it. I'm willing to sell oil cheap. So that is where the problem is. You know, India wanted to buy oil from Russia to get away with it. All the time it happens. All the time. I remember I was party to a carteling process. I was party to a carteling process. So I mean, indirectly, of course, there was this. I can't name many of those companies or the thing. There was this government organization which wanted to buy. I was with a company which was doing air conditioners, but I was in a different division. I was in the other electronics division. So this company wanted to buy a lot of air conditioners, maybe 100 air conditioners in the year 1992, 93. So Voltas, uh, Blue Star, then Carrier, all of them are trying to fight for it. All of them are trying to fight for it. So what all these guys decided was that in this tender, we will all give the same price. That's it. It doesn't matter whether it is Blue Star, whether it doesn't matter which Voltas, all those air conditioners cost 23,000 rupees, 23,400 rupees. So when the purchase guys look at it, all of them are the same price. So now what do they do? They split the order between all of them. So that is what happens in carteling. When you cartel, you take the customer for a ride. You take it. What happened in my case was because I had actually quoted for another product, they said, oh, this company is also part of the carteling. Let's give him the order. So what turned out was for a totally different product. I never thought I'll get the order. I ended up getting the order. So carteling is the most dangerous thing. So that is what, if there is no carteling, everybody can enter the market very easily. That's your order. The final thing that we have is bargaining power of the supplier. What is the bargaining power of the supplier? Like they say that we will not provide oil to Europe. That is what Russia is saying. I don't know how many of you are following the Russian story. Is that Russia's biggest money comes from supplying gas to Europe. Now, that's a bargaining. Why is the whole world scared to put up an embargo on Russia? Is because Russia will say, I turn off the tap. But turn off the tap, there'll be no gas in the homes in Europe to do it. So while they're saying, don't do the war, we'll threaten you, they're still scared of it. That is the bargaining power of the supplier. When the bargaining power of the supplier happens, there is an alternate technology which will come and do the job. That's it. Over a period of time, they say that if the price of oil becomes $120, it's effective for us to put up a solar plant. That might be able. So these are the 5 points that we wanted to discuss. What's the time now? 2:30. Bargaining power. What are the 5 things? Bargaining power of threat of new entrants, bargaining power of customers, threat of substitutes, and rivalry within them. Any questions on this? I see some.
No, sir.
No? Oh, that's a very feeble no. A very feeble no. Okay. So do you want me to give you a Google form to wake you up or something? No? Okay. So that's done. Let's move into a slightly different subject. What is that subject going to be? Let me see if I can. PowerPoint. Okay, stop share. Share. How many of these do you guys know? You've done this? Have we done this part? Have you seen this? Okay. Nestle, Unilever, Penguin. What is Penguin? Which is that? Linux. Okay. And this one? Accenture. And this? C5. Anybody knows what is C5? Oh, anybody knows what is C4? a B1. What is that? Somebody said something, right? Somebody said, and I thought they said right. That's why I said. But no, it starts with the first letter is B. It looks like an aircraft. Boeing. Boeing, okay. And of course, you know this, right? B3. Ah, who doesn't know it? This T-Mobile and A1. A1.
BP.
Wipro.
BP.
What is that?
Oil company. BP.
Yeah, BP Solar, right? BP. Okay, very good. Good job. What about this? I'm more excited with this group. Yeah. Airport Authority. What is this? And this one? Which Reliance? The other. What is his name called? Anil Ambani, right? Okay, and C1. Bank. I don't know. I'm asking you. ITC, chain of hotels, and C2. Yes, it is very good. Aadhaar and C5. C5. Don't know C5. Oh my God. How can you not know C5? C. Standard Chartered. Okay. I'll take anything. Okay. C5 has been standing in front of you for the last 18 hours. Okay, I know nobody would get that, right? So anyway, I just
Aadhaar or Uday.
which was that?
It's Aadhaar. Aadhaar Uday, I guess.
Aadhaar, yeah, Aadhaar is this one, right? C4. Correct. Good. So, okay, done. So now, just by a logo, you're able to make so much about it. Just a logo is enough for you to identify what the company is. And I guess when you looked at Asian Paints or you looked at this is colors, right? And a lot of things goes around you, right? I mean, you think there's a new serial coming up or something else. I mean, that is what what all these logos can do to your life, which says that branding. So what is branding is a name or term. There's another 100 brands that I've put here. And even if the font is very small, I'm sure you can look at every one of them and you can identify from a very large distance. This brand is probably the most popular brand. And these are, you know what they do and all that stuff. So what is a brand? And why do we need a brand? Brand is an identity. Okay. How did the word brand come up? There are many meanings to it. And one of them, how did the word branding come up? They say that, yeah, so they used to have cattle. And so how do you know which cattle belongs to you? So you just put up some kind of a seal on the cattle. And so you look at it and we replace that by birthmarks. And so that is how we have in our passport, a mole on the left cheek and things like that. Imagine you think finding it out based on the mole. So it doesn't happen like that. So what is branding? What else is brand? Why branding signifies quality or lack of it? Maybe, right? I guess we don't give the same importance to, let's say, BSNL on quality compared to maybe you would give to any other thing. What else does a brand do? It's the face of the company. Yeah, many things go in your mind when you think about the brand. The very word Wipro might signify it's a good company to work for. The very word, like I used to typically ask that question is, Do you want to work for Sahara, which is going to give you 3 times your present salary, or do you want to work for Tata, who is going to give you 1.8 times your 0.8 times your salary? What would you do? Tata is because I guess, but you ask me what I will do. I'll go work for Sahara. I'm and anyway in the last leg of my life. So let me. So it's it's subjective statement, right? It's a yeah. So I used to have a colleague who used to say, at a certain age you work for the thieves because bhagte chor ke langoti sahi, they used to say. So at least you should pull up something from him and have a good time. So that is what a brand signifies. What else does a brand signify? What is the importance? A lot. We have a subject on brands, so we're going to talk for about an hour. So you can't get away with 5, 6 answers. What else can a brand do? Brand gives you a feeling of support. Okay, I'm there all the time. What else? Identify or what? Identify the product. Anything else? Online. What are you guys? Two of you. I mean, there's been online been pretty quiet today, right? There's an RCB match today. No. Yeah. Oh yeah, correct. Is that start at 3 o'clock? Or is it 7:30? 7:30. Yeah. So what else does a brand do? We're supposed to be discussing brand for a very long time. Okay. So let's look at brand in a very different way. Say, what is a brand? How does branding work? What are the advantages of a strong brand? But that one particular answer I'm hoping to get from you. Let's see. What is the other advantage of a strong brand? One advantage I'm looking at. You've given me 5, 6 of them, but that's like I don't know how many of you know the story of Krishna had Krishna got married to whom? Rukmini, right? But he had a young age fan called Radha. So the story goes that one fine day Rukmini decided to weigh her husband in equivalent of gold. So she kept on putting up that gold kilo after kilo. I don't know how fat was Krishna. Any amount of it was just not tilting the scale. Then, anybody know how to complete the story? No, okay, I'll complete it for you. So then Radha walks in and just drops one tulsi. So all your questions are still into that the Rukmini category. I just want one more advantage of a brand. It's still red pieces of gold. Advantage of a brand. You've got 30 seconds to give me back the right answer. You stop thinking. You cannot stop thinking. You have to continue to think. You are in trouble now. Brand gives you okay. That's all. That's all what is said. The brand gives you okay. Fair enough. There's still pieces of gold. Okay. Brand gives you a price advantage. Yes or no? The very price, you're willing to pay 20 rupees more for a cup of coffee at MTR, which might use the same milk from Nandini, which might use the same coffee powder from somebody else. But that's what the brand gives you. It gives you a huge pricing advantage. Yes or no? Yes or no? Was that a Tulsi in that conversation? Okay. So this is what we're going to do. And brand equity. What is brand equity? We'll discuss all of that. What is the time? Let me know when it's 3 so that we can have a break. So the attributes of a brand is excels in giving the desired result, staying relevant without losing the core faith. You know, we have the brand is very, and people kind of companies are so attached to their brands that they will not allow the brand to be diluted. They are very, very, very specific. And I was one of the first of the guys who was working with HP, and we wanted to open an office. Now, what does opening an office got to do with it? We just said we'll open an office in Chickpete. We said we'll open a HP office in Chickpete. Good idea? No? Okay. So I said we'll open an office in some other places. But HP came up with a long list of requirements. A long list of requirements. They said the office must be located in a road which is minimum X feet in width. The office in the vicinity of the office, there must be no coffee outlets. In the vicinity of the office, there must be no retail outlet. That means you cannot have a west side in the vicinity of the HP office. Is because they care so much for their branding that they don't want the brand to be lost on in between Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts. So they are very, very, very specific. Oh, we had a real tough time trying to find an office. And finally, we settled down in one of the places on, what is that place called? Lavelle Road. Okay. So that's one of the first offices that came up, which was in some way meeting all the criteria. Then I got associated with a company called NEC. NEC, I don't know how many of you know what is NEC. NEC is Nippon Electric Corporation. They used to make a lot of stuff they used to do. They even came up with some phones at some stage. So we wanted to put up banners all over the places. And so that involved printing NEC logo. Now, printing NEC logo was the most toughest job that I had in my life. They said that the color of the blue of NEC has to meet certain specifications. It cannot be lighter blue. It cannot be the sky blue. It cannot be the whatever. Oh my God. So very tough because companies are very, very careful about how they do it. And I don't know, Microsoft, you are not allowed to walk around with a Microsoft shirt post working hours. Or if you are walking around, you're supposed to wear a blazer and walk or some kind of a jerkin so that your logo is not visible outside. So people care a lot and companies care a lot for the branding as such. Why? Because branding gives you a perception of about you. There are lots of things that a brand does, and a brand gives you a sense of excitement about it. So one thing is, what is a brand identity? A brand identity helps you associate with the name. Just a logo of Wipro is enough for you to say that's Wipro. Just a piece of whatever feather, and you guys said that's colors, right? And we said, my company, we also said we care a lot for our branding. We got a guy to do a branding for us. We looked at half a dozen things, and then that's the brand that we chose. And next day morning, we walk and look at the Bank of India logo. It looks very similar to our company's logo. They said, what the hell? We spent money for the wrong thing. So it's very, very important. Color, shape, everything is very, very. It gives you how do you interact and keep the brand alive in your conversation with the thing. So that said, have a look at brand positioning. How do you position a brand? You have to position a brand in the mind of the people. And that's one most important thing is positioning is in the mind. And I've told you 100 times that. Look at this. We look at a Coca-Cola ad versus an ad for Thumbs Up. A Coca-Cola ad is all about family joining together, Deepika and having a Diwali gathering or something like that, coming together. It's all about how you perceive a Coke. But it's all about how do you perceive a Thumbs Up ad. A Thumbs Up ad is about the guy doing all kinds of crazy things and jumping up, right? Yeah, the Macho image, the Macho Man image. That's exactly from the very beginning. They want to know, where are we associated with? Am I going to be associated with family events, or am I going to be associated? So you know, who are you looking at? So it's very unlikely that somebody in his early 20s would want to have a Coke. I mean, generally, we would like to have him thumbs up. But it's given that somebody in his 40s and 50s is very unlikely to have a thumbs up, be likely to have a Coke. But then in this battle, what does the third person do? Says, I mean, do I get into all this nonsense between the family and the backhoe, or am I going to behave differently? After all, it's the same thing, right? At the end of the day, it's just sugared water with just some caffeine thrown in and some coca thrown in. That's it, right? So, so Red Bull says, I'm going to be a different guy. He is projecting himself in a totally different feel factor. So it's all about, how do you position yourself in a very crowded market? And firstly, you must understand, what am I going to do with it? Am I going to be position myself as a family product, or am I going to position myself as a macro product, or am I going to position myself as somebody different, right? I mean, Red Wings, or what that is. Similarly, when you look at all of these car models, and we are sticking to models, only logos, because it's all about branding. There are different stories coming up. What is Land Rover saying? Or what is somebody else saying? He's saying, I'm expensive. They're making it a point. And I told you, customer decision. If you remember the matrix on customer decision, when he buys a car, when he buys an Apple Watch, he's going to tell you that it's an Apple Series 8. I paid 53,000. That's the way it works, right? But I'm not going to tell you how much I paid for this HMT, because then you'll say, oh my God. So similarly, it's all about how you position. So they are saying, we are expensive and sporty. Whereas Mercedes-Benz is saying, I'm expensive and conservative. I'm not going to be a sporty guy. BMW might say I'm a sporty car, but I'm going to be a very conservative guy. But there are Hyundais and others who are going to be, we are inexpensive and we have a lot of style, or something like that. And this conversation can go on and on and on. So each of these marketing companies, or sorry, each of these car companies want to position themselves in a certain feeling so that you get it. And then comes Tesla. Say, I'm not going to get into this battle with you guys. I'm not in that business. He is positioning himself totally opposite. He's not saying, he is on his own trip. And what is Elon Musk doing nowadays? So what's happening on Twitter? How many of you are actually listening to what is happening? Are you watching? Huh?
He's not
Why?
buying Twitter
Why?
because he wants 0 fraud accounts in the Twitter.
He wants 0 bot accounts.
Fraud accounts. Fraud.
Yeah. So, but do you think he's doing it right, or do you think he's doing it wrong?
It's totally wrong. He's playing around.
Yeah, which is, and I was reading an article in which he said that it's very unlikely that he'll get away with it. Very unlikely. Otherwise, he'll have to pay for the damages. He's already spoiled the whole thing. And so you see what it is. And so you never know. So this is what a brand positioning is all about. How do you position a particular? Next comes the role of a brand. Now, what is the role of a brand? What is the role of a brand? One is to identify the maker, and second is to signify the quality of it. Now, the moment you say Tanishq, you know what happens on that, right? You know what it is. And Intel Inside, you don't have to say anything, right? It shows what is the quality of the product. I don't know how many of you know what this logo is about. This is the hallmark of a gold of anything. So that's the significance of quality, right? This is quality. And we all know what this is, right? I mean, we are very careful about whether it has a green dot or a red dot, and then we do it. How many of you know this logo? Pay. So, but why are you saying Google Pay, and why is it pays? What do you think? Why did Google come up with this?
It was first stage, later on it was.
What was that?
And this was the first product. Later, Google Pay bought this. I think.
Uh, yeah, but why did Google not come up with Google Pay in the very first instance? Why did Google Pay not come up with Google Pay in the very first instance? Why did it do a taste? Okay, so what I mean, explain further. And then what they did? Then they finally it failed. The brand was not reached. You believe that's what happened? Any other thought to that?
I believe this was a different company. I mean, Google had nothing to do with it. This later they bought it. I don't know for a. I mean, I'm not sure on that.
Okay, fair enough. But any other thought? Why would Google come up with Pays and then switch it over to Google Pay? Pays already had a customer. Okay. Anything else? The general feeling is that Google had a huge branding in India. Okay, Google can do no wrong. Starting from Gmail to Google search to everybody knew that Google was associated with Android. We had Google Maps, all of that hanging around there. And Google had a great branding in it. And they are entering into a field which they're not very certain about. They did not know how would the government react with an exactly the threat of new entrant situation. What would the Indian banking companies do to them? Would they put them a stop? And now they'll have to withdraw and go back or whatever is the situation. They said that let's play it safe by not exposing the Google brand. So this is, I know there any conversation is not a mathematical equation. So there's this thought process, there's an alternate thought process. So they said that we will do it. And then when Taze became really successful and started doing well, then they said it's time for us to reveal who are the true owners of this company. And then they switched it over to become a Google Pay. And then, there was no damage to their kind of a, what do you call, the branding as such. So that is what is the role of a brand. What is the next role? The role of a brand, it provides you a competitive advantage. What does that mean? The very fact, why would I choose Indigo? It generally felt that Indigo travels in time. I don't know, that's the mental conception. Or Singapore airline is a better airline for me to fly than go by any other airline. And of course, it provides you a premium pricing. Water is water, all the same, right? It's still H2O. But an Evian water, you're willing to pay 120 rupees for a bottle of Evian. So this is the other role of a brand. Well, let's take a break. 3 o'clock. I'll come back. And yeah, any questions so far? I have a couple of points to. Have all of you uploaded? No. Who? No. Yes. Yes. No. Okay. If you don't do it, I had some list of people's names to talk about. Hang on. I've been doing some work on that. Link. Meghna, yes. Where's Meghna? Yes. You have you uploaded the second assignment? That's the second assignment. Well, you done. That's the mistake that you've done. So you emailed me the other one. You've done that. Okay. Then Yashwant Bindu. Maybe that doesn't belong to this section. Yeah. He's also uploaded on assignment 2 and he's uploaded something totally wrong. I think he didn't even get the idea. That would be one problem. Then Preeta M doesn't belong to your group. Yeah, but she's also uploaded some, yeah, something. Yeah, and she has got, she actually ran into trouble with me in her first assignment itself. So you make sure that she knows that she has to correct it by tomorrow evening. And by tomorrow evening, if you guys don't upload, that's it. No further extensions. Okay. We might have what is called line extension and brand extension, but no time extension. Okay. We will talk about it. Okay. Right. So good. Let's take a break. I'll come back about 15 minutes or so, and then we'll do it. Okay. Anyway is okay. Anyway is okay, but I need to understand that you're getting it. If you've done your first assignment well and your second assignment is not so good, there's going to be a super drop in marks. But if your second assignment is slightly better than your first assignment, there's a super climb in marks. So you can't do a bad second assignment. Very simple. Okay. And what about you? Have you completed everything?
This assignment will submit.
You're the first one. Who is this group? So make sure you upload it at least by. When did you last try? When did you last try? Last week there was no Gyanvapi mosque issue. Last week or this week में बहुत फर्क है. If you read today's WhatsApp, I have opened it up for you. By tomorrow evening, you have to do it. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. What is the assignment? So what? You want me to mute this or do you want them to listen? I think we'll stop it. No, pause it. Yeah. So
Yes, sir.
okay,
Yes, sir.
good. So back to where we started off. We're talking about branding and its importance in the life of a company, right? So we were then. Where's the next one? So now we get into slightly more detailing of the subject. What have we done so far? If we go back, we said, what is a brand? How do you position your brand? And then you say, what is the role of a brand? What is a good thing about a brand? And then we look at brand architecture. Is that how do we build a brand? And what is it that you can do around a brand? There are 4 ways in which you can build a building using a brand. Using a brand, how do you structure something? The 4 structures are called extension, product, endorsed, and monolithic. Okay, extension. I think I'll have to go to this mode. And I have this video to play for you guys. Okay, I have this video to play. Let me see if I can play that video. New share sound. Okay. Not this. Definitely not this. Yeah. Where is the, yeah. Can you see this? Yeah. Let's see. Let's say, I hope you get the,
You were expecting 30% hike and you got humiliating
क्या चल रहा है?
लिविंग रूम में जैकवार लग रहा है.
लिविंग रूम में?
That was too funny ना.
वैसे खन्ना तेरा वो लंदन ट्रिप कैसा था यार?
What a fantastic holiday यार. मजा आ गया.
Did you go to Madame Tussauds?
Oh, it was fabulous, I tell you.
How was the weather? Raining?
हाँ बट हम तो दिन भर बाहर थे.
And those Indian restaurants in London?
भाई साहब, जैकवार लाइट्स लग रही है.
The largest bath brand in the country now also brings you the magic of light. Jaguar Bath and Lights.
okay. So that's all of the ad. And let's go back to, share. Where is that? Okay. So if you all saw this ad, what is the ad trying to tell you? Yeah. So Jaguar is known for, yeah. So yeah, so you almost told the word. What we are talking about is that what they're doing is the popularity, the quality that's associated with it. The moment you say Jaguar, they want to ride on that advantage to tell you that we are now moving into a slightly different path. So it's all working. They could have named the Jaguar lighting system as a Leopard or whatever that they want to do it, but they didn't want to because they believe that the Jaguar as a brand is a huge brand that we have built. And I don't know if how many of you actually gone ahead and tried to deploy Jaguar those plumbing equipments. They're very, very expensive. But your plumber is going to tell you put that because there's a huge quality associated with it. So there was quality associated with the brand. There was a huge recall by the company. I mean, the moment I said Jaguar, either you mentioned the Land Rover or you mentioned the this one, right? So that is what it is. So before we started off, I said there are 4 ways in which you build a brand: by an extension, by a product, by endorsing it, or by a monolithic. Now look at the extension. Extension is, there are 2 types of extension. One is called line extension. The other is called brand extension. Line extension is when I actually wanted to pick up another ad, which is very popular during nowadays, is the the Dunzo ad. What is Dunzo now known for? Dunzo for a long time was known, or Swiggy was known for delivering you food from a restaurant. And now what they have done, they're saying we can even deliver you groceries. So a Dunzo was known for, shipping from point A to point B, and all of a sudden you can even order some food over the grocery. So there are 2 types. Stay in that product line and start expanding around it. That is exactly what Dunzo, Swiggy are doing. We are in the delivery business. We're going to deliver. We have been delivering food for you all the time. Now we'll also deliver groceries. Then maybe we'll deliver you medicines. It's the same thing. It's an extension of the line that you are. Example is FedEx Office, FedEx Ground. Means that how do we deliver over ground? Then FedEx Freight means that I take it over air or something like that. It's all about line extensions. But what is a brand extension? A brand extension is an example of Jaguar. What's lighting got to do with plumbing? I guess there's a more dangerous things. I mean, one comes to another, there could be electrocution, right? So the point is, but you use the brand, just like here, Canon is known for its photo cameras. Canon gets into printers, unassociated in some way, but that's a brand extension. So you get the difference between what is a line extension and what is a brand extension. That is one way in which you can grow your business. The other way to look at it, yeah, this is some explanation for you for what is brand and line extension. The other one is to do a product. If you look at this product, if you look at, I think this is Unilever or whichever that is. If you look at the Procter, yeah, this is Procter and Gamble. If you look at it, there are so many brands that they have. They have a brand called Pure. They have a brand called Tide. They have a brand called whatever. There are hundreds of different brands. So what they are doing is they are creating every product as a different brand. And maybe around Tide, they might come up with Tide powder versus Tide soap bar and things like that. So one is to do an extension, take that brand and do it, or you come up with a series of products. Each one is a brand. What is the advantage of this and what is the disadvantage of it? The advantage of it is for a long time, I did not know that Duracell belonged to Procter and Gamble. And I did not know that Old Spice was also a product of Procter and Gamble. Old Spice by itself was a brand. And if something goes wrong with that brand, the parent company doesn't get affected. Now, let's say Jaguar lighting, for example, has a disaster. It could have an impact on their Jaguar water equipment or whatever that is. So here you are giving a very different picture, and then they are individually managing on their own. That is extension. This is product. And the third is called endorsed. Endorsed is like, they are all different brands, but they say this is the 3M product. Each one, there is just only thing that is convincing you to buy is the fact that there is 3M written somewhere. The word 3M gives you that feeling of quality. Now, they have different names for all of these products, but there's just one brand called, like they might have a Tata Group company, Starbucks, a Tata Group company, or whatever the way it is. So that is how you do an endorsement of a brand. Lastly, we have one more of them, which is monolithic. A monolithic is one, they just want one name. That's it. Mitsubishi or Samsung, there are no sub brands. It's the same Samsung washing machine, Samsung phone, Samsung XYZ, or it's always LG phone. It's not some other name for it because they believe the brand itself is going to be huge. But the problem with this is there's a huge emphasis on the brand. The very fact that irrespective of whether they are making cars or whether they are making hand phones, there's just one name for the product. It's a kind of a very thing. But in real life, all of them get mixed and you get a very different feeling. Like here, I don't know how well you can see it. If you look at Marriott, they actually have Ritz-Carlton. But not many of us will know that Ritz-Carlton is also a Marriott brand. It's because they want to keep it different. So Ritz-Carlton is there. There are so many other brands. And then you have a lot of Marriott brand. There is a Marriott, which one was there? Fairfield and all that stuff. So there are a combination that every company does. They might do a line extension. They might keep the product separate so that it doesn't get associated with it. And this is probably what the story is. There's something called Delta Hotels or Le Méridien. How would you be able to connect them with Marriott? They don't want you to connect it. They want you to keep it separate. Ritz is a huge brand. They will not dilute that brand by giving you a Marriott name attached to it. So this is what is branding all about. And I hope you guys have been able to reasonably understand where are we heading in that direction. Any questions on that? Normally, you will have about, say about 10 marks or 10 or 15 marks on branding. And so you don't have to write that down. Just remember that you have 10, 15 marks. So if you have any questions, best time to raise it up now. Hybrid model will work provided you have that many models of it. That much. Like for example, when you're starting off, I don't know, you how do you start off a brand? You don't even have a brand to begin with, right? Then you start off at some place based on what it is. A brand to trust, a brand which is cheap, or a product which is cheap, or a brand which is known for its service. So that's how you start off building a brand. If you look at a brand like, I'm trying to look at new brands like Ola and all that, and they're still sticking out to the idea that it's a Ola. Ola starts off as a, why word Ola? Ola is a word because it's very easy to pronounce, and you have no idea what the word Ola would stand for. What has Ola got to do with cars? Nothing. Ola has nothing to do with it. Let's say Prayan or something like that, or let's say movement. That gives you an idea that this could be a travel company. No idea, right? Ola could be anything. And what does the competitor of Ola call himself? Uber. What does Uber mean? Who is absolutely prime, right? Uber. Now, so when Uber introduced, Uber is almost a noun. So you say it's a Uber service. So they said that we're going to be the top of the quality service. But now they also have layers which are back down to competing with Uber Auto also. I mean, now how does Uber Auto sound like? You know, that really doesn't make sense. Right? But so that's how you build a brand. Now Ola says, I have a great brand called Ola. Let me take that brand and do Ola Foods. Because now the Ola is in our mouth, we get used to the word Ola and then to do it. But after some time, you may want to come up with some, they're still banking on the Ola that it's still called the Ola Electric. But somebody may not want to call it Ola Electric. Somebody might want to call it this. This is about how much you care for the brand and how much you dilute it. If you look at the word Xerox, what does the word Xerox mean? Now, Xerox is a noun, right? It was a time when there were photocopiers all around Bangalore. They were not using Xerox machines, and they're saying Xerox available here, right? You go there, it's a Canon photocopier, or I can't think of any other brand, but they were not using Xerox. But they will put a board saying that Xerox. Xerox got very upset. He said, what is it? How dare you use my brand and not use my product? On the long run, that turned out to be a bad strategy. Because what they could have done is that they could have slowly changed all of these guys who are buying Canon machines and calling themselves a Xerox photocopier, Xerox, I can't even try to link the word. So they could have slowly moved them away or told not all Xerox shops are Xerox machines or something like that. They could have done that. They got in a hurry. They threatened them. Microsoft, you know what? There used to be a joke that every auto used to have a Microsoft OS CD in his thing, right? The easiest thing to pirate was the OS of Microsoft, right? I mean, you just go ahead and And I don't know how many of your houses actually have a clean version or actually have a pirated version. But why was Microsoft turning a blind eye? Is because they said the very fact that I turned a blind eye means that one, you will have my OS and you will also have my, what is it called? The Explorer. You get my Explorer. So once I get you onto the Explorer, there are many things in, and slowly it's possible for me to tighten your the thing. Now it just pop up saying that you are not is an authorized version and it doesn't cost you much, pay some 300 rupees, get it. So now why would I want to embarrass myself in front of you and it pops up saying that this is not a legal version? I'll rather pay 300 bucks. So the question is, how much of a hurry are you into converting it? So it'll take a time before you build a band like Marriott. It takes 50 years, 60 years for you to do it. And then you do it. The best example that I can give you was, there was this movie called Main Teri Jandu Bomb Laga Ke. What is that called? What is it? I want that line. What is that line? Darling, my Jandu Bomb. So Tere Liye. Now, they didn't seek the permission of Zandu Bomb. They didn't seek the permission of Zandu Bomb to put up that ad. Now, Zandu Bomb went and sued them. Why did you not seek my permission? How dare you use my brand? But over a period of time, when the court negotiations were going on, Zandu Bomb realized these guys have done me a great favor, because I have overnight in the mouths of all young boys and girls. Yeah, that is what it is. So in the next Dabang movie, that was Fevicol. Now Fevicol ran behind him and said, please take my name, because that is what is the whole thing branding about, right? Huh? What is that? Yeah. So no. What I'm saying, Zandu Bomb thought that it was a mistake that they use my name. My name is getting diluted. On the contrary, the brand, the very use of that word becomes this one. And I was just watching. There's a new serial coming up in Amazon called Panchayat 2. It's kind of a very slow, lazy serial, not meant for you guys. In that, there's a song which talks about paracetamol. So she's saying, I'm your paracetamol and all that. So you see what it's like. Even the Dolo is now become a. And does Dolo mind it? No, they don't mind it. But would Apple mind it if somebody used Apple indiscriminately? Of course, Apple will mind it. Apple, let's say I took a Redmi phone and put up an Apple sticker on it. Apple can go ahead and do it, because for Apple, Apple is the Ritz-Carlton. Apple is very careful that I'm not going to get my brand diluted. Whereas Marriott Courtyard is the cheapest. Marriott Courtyard is the cheapest place to hang around with. They wouldn't mind if somebody uses their brand. So it's all about it. I hope I've been able to convey the point, right? Anything else on this? We've just one other subject, which is called it's not visible, right? March 22. Okay. Share screen. Global. Okay, last subject we're talking about is called competition, which is about 3:45. I guess I might even wind up about 10, 15 minutes earlier. So competition, what is competition? Name a business where there's no competition. There's virtually none of them, right? I mean, either the business is very bad or virtually there's no. Even in running the government, there is competition, right? So people are doing. So the art of war rather than the art of business. And most wars are created for business gain, right? It eventually comes out to it. What we are going to do over the next 13 slides is to look at the way business happens. This is a preamble. Everybody knows what's a preamble, right? A preamble is before the story starts, or in technical terms, before we actually start sending the signal, right? So preamble is, what is the role of every enterprise? Is to make money. Very simple. Money could be defined as physical money, or it could be fame. It's okay. It doesn't matter what we are looking at. At the end of the day, I must profit from this activity and I must grow. I cannot remain. Next year, I have to grow by 100 crores. Next year, I must add another 200 people to my number of employees. Next year, my market share should go up by another 14% and all that. But how is it possible? Because growth is the oxygen of any organization. If you're not growing, you're dead. Right? Change is, what is the word? Change is constant. I mean, it's a oxymoron, right? I mean, how can you use change and constant in the same thing? So that's the importance of change. But how can you grow without stepping on the leg of the competition? After all, there are 1 million people, or let's say 10 lakh people traveling by transportation every day. Overnight, you cannot make 100 lakh people travel every day. No, there are only 10 lakh people who travel. So the 10 lakh people have 4 modes of transport: Ola, Uber, bus, train, car. So if I want to increase my share, somebody has to pay the price. I have to either eat into her market or she will eat into my market, and that is what is it. So growth comes at the cost of the competitor's market share. Invariably, right? All of, unless and until we have a dual SIM, that's a market expansion. But eventually, even the dual SIM, who is going to get the second SIM? It's going to be a fight between that. So that is the one. Growth comes when you penetrate rival markets and strongholds. Jio could not have grown by saying, I'm going to concentrate only in rural areas where there is no Airtel coverage. I don't want to trouble them. I'm a good guy. Not going to work like that. You have to get into rivals market. You have to kill each other and then only survive. But some markets are dear to the competition. Some markets are not dear to the competition. What does that mean? That I believe some markets are dear and some markets are not dear. I'm trying to give up with a very basic reason before I start getting into a real IITs have started introducing management courses. Right? Now you have IITs introducing management courses. And I guess the management colleges are not very bothered about it. But if the IIM start introducing engineering courses, I guess the IITs are going to raise their, say, make a shout about it. No, our brand is getting diluted. So some areas, a new competitor coming in, we don't mind. But in some area, if a competitor comes in, I'm going to be pretty upset about it. So some markets are very dear. Some markets are not dear. We'll try to understand them. In some markets, primary shareholders can hit hard and punch back. Yeah, in some markets, try entering into, I'm really surprised as to why there was, how did the Udupi restaurants, the SLVs of Bangalore allowed a Chennai player called A2B to enter the market. Technically, they should have never allowed him because that's a market very dear. Whether he has performed well or not, we don't know. But some markets, you try entering, they're going to hit you back. There's no way will I allow you to enter this market. But in some markets, they don't mind. So today, we are going to talk about how they fight. The fight happens in the following words: feint, gambit, flank, assault, and contest. Each of them are different ways in which fight happens. I guess you guys are following me on this. So I'm going to lift the slide for you. This is something that I want you to read. But let's look at this slide. What is this? This is the basic understanding. If you don't understand the slide, the rest of the slides or the rest of the conversation, you're not going to understand. So take a moment to follow me. If you have a question, let's talk about it. This is called competitors' reactiveness. Let's say I want to enter a new market. Let's say I can't think of a market, but let's for the moment not bother about it. I want to enter a market. And every market there are existing players. There's no market in which I am a new beginner, right? I mean, those are very odd situations. So when I enter a market B, that is very attractive to me. I believe this is a great market to enter. I want to get into what is that, firstcry.com, which is I want to get into baby clothing. I believe that's the best time. People are coming out of the pandemic, there are more children born. So I believe that I should get into that market. But remember, that's a market that is controlled by some existing players like Mahindra or XYZ kind of a people. Or let's say I want to get into the wedding markets where Manyata or whatever that, what is that? Manyavar. So they are all dominated in that field. So what happens is, if I enter a market where the competitor is going to react, he's going to punch you back. Whereas in a market like B, the competitor's reactiveness is very low. You enter the market, I don't mind. I don't mind you entering that market. After all, I'm not too active in that market. I will allow you to stay in that business. But let's say I enter the market E. Market E is what? Which is very attractive to me, and competitors going to be reactive very hard. You try entering that market, the competitor is going to punch you so hard that they will do anything to retain market share. So these are the two things that happen. Attractiveness to you and the competitor's reactiveness. With this, let's try to look at the couple of scenarios. Okay. Let's look at this scenario. This is Procter and Gamble versus Unilever. Now, let's say Unilever wants to enter into European food market. What is Procter and Gamble going to say? That's okay. Enter this market. It's not very important to me. I don't think I probably have 5% market share in that business. 95% of my market comes from somewhere. You want to enter the food market? It's okay. Enter. I don't mind. They're not going to fight you back. But let's say Unilever decides to enter American personal care. That's the key market for Procter and Gamble. They're no way going to allow you to enter that market. They're going to fight you tooth and nail and try to kill you. Make sure that they don't. So that is what happens. The same thing. It's all look at it. So there are certain markets that the competition may not really bother. There are certain markets that there's no way that I'm going to enter into this. Okay. So that is the background. We have got a couple of case studies or examples that we talk about it. But remember, they're very, very limited because typically all these stories take about 5-6 years before they build up. When you see that case study. So we look at some case studies. What is Onslaught? The first of the example is Onslaught. That if you enter this market, I'm going to do such a severe amount of damage that I will ensure that I retain the market. What do? First thing they'll do is price cut. They'll ensure that you do not enter this market. They cut the price so badly that they might even go below cost to retain that market. That's point number one. Point number two is heavy expenditure on marketing advertising. So who is going to do that? The new guy is going to do heavy expenditure. The existing guy is going to do expense. So both of them are going to get into a major fighting mode. Then there can only be one winner. So all the time, Coke is fighting Pepsi. In the year 2015, maybe Coke did better. In the year 2016, Pepsi did better. There's a constant fight that is going on market share. But in certain instances, when the fight is so big, one fellow will walk out and say, that's it, guys. I can't get into this business. It's too dirty for me. I've lost enough blood. I've become anemic. I'm going to get out of this business. For example, Intel was doing a large number of DRAM memory chips. They were doing very well. They were having a huge market share. But slowly the Japanese manufacturers started coming, like Toshiba, lots of them, a lot of Japanese chip manufacturers from Japan. They started dominating the market. Now remember, Intel was having a huge position. It was a market that was very dear to them. They started fighting. At one point, they realized, I think I'm fighting a wrong battle. They just walked out of that battle. So there is always one winner in a battle on onslaught. So they just walked out of it and they said, goodbye, guys. You manage the DRAM business. I'll go and do some other business. So that is what happens. The other example is Wipro. Wipro, again, I must tell you, actually, Wipro did well eventually, but what was the initial problem? Wipro started entering into BSFI market. What is BSFI? Banking, finance, securities, and something else, insurance. So Wipro said, IBM and Accenture have entered Indian market. Why not I go and enter the American market? So when Wipro went into the American market, IBM and Accenture joined hands. What's the word? They almost carteled with each other and said, we're going to kill Wipro. To such an extent that they slashed their prices and they actually went below margin to ensure that Wipro doesn't enter the American market. Now, the fact of the story is that this, if you look at most of the books, it stops here. But the reality was Wipro persisted, Wipro hung around and still has a dominating stay in the market. So one way of fighting the battle is called onslaught. You guys follow it? It is onslaught. The second thing that we do is called contest. What is contest? Onslaught is like carpet bombing. You know what is carpet bombing? Americans did carpet bombing to hunt one guy in Afghanistan. What is the guy? Whom were they behind in Afghanistan? Osama bin Laden.
Osama.
Yeah, so they didn't know where was Osama bin Laden hiding. So they just bombed entire Afghanistan, hoping that somewhere the bomb will fall on him. That's like random fighting. Onslaught is like carpet bombing. Do everything to kill. But contest is something more narrow. Contest is something that is more specific, more very controlled way of fighting the battle. Now, all of us know what is Warner Brothers. What do? They are production house. They make some of the finest movies. And I mean, I'm sure there are lots of movies that we know of Warner Brothers. I can think of Home Alone as one of them and things like that. Which one? Harry Potter. You see, they make a lot of. And how did you watch Harry Potter? Did you watch it in home or did you watch it on CD? Why are you guys scared to answer me? CD, pirated or real? Maybe, or you don't remember. So what happened was Warner Brothers said, we are making the finest of the movies. But who's making the money? The money is being made by the DVD distributor. The cable, that DVD library guy is making the money. What is he doing? He's taking one DVD from us and sending it to 100 times that DVD gets operated. We are not making any movie. Like the story of Rajnikant and the what is that movie called? I mentioned to you all, right? Shivaji, have I? Oh, no. Yes, seriously. Was that in the other class? Must be. Okay. So what happened was, okay. So what happened? If you look at the movies have, that's probably another example of contest, is how do you fight a narrow battle? Typically, how do we watch movies in the present world? In the pre-pandemic world, if you get to watch a movie, you watch a movie in theater in the first 1 week, or you just pick up a CD and watch it at home, right? It's all there. And most of the CDs are what is called theater print or bad copy print. So the makers of the movie called Shivaji was a production house called UT. They said that, look, we have only 3 days to make up our money. What are those 3 days? Friday, Saturday, Sunday. By Monday morning, this guy is going to go to his office, take that pirated CD. Not only will he watch, he'll distribute it to 100. So I have only 3 days to make up for that 100 crore or whatever crore that I have invested. But how do I make up for that in 3 days? That was the first time when a revolution happened in the movie business, especially in the movie distribution business. Normally, what used to happen is that you only watch the Shivaji or what is that? You watch a Rajnikant movie in the second week or third week because theaters are running houseful. There's no way that you can watch it. You go and watch it after the third week. What these guys said is that we are going to block all the theaters in the city. That's it. In entire Bangalore, there are 500 theaters, 490 theaters. We are going to run Shivaji. And we're going to run it for all 3 shows or 4 shows. So now they are able to address a huge part of the population. And most of us ended up watching the movie within the first 3 days, because when I went to book my show, I actually was excited that I could get a ticket on Saturday evening show, which was impossible for a Rajnikant movie. So now what they did was they actually were able to recover maybe 75% of the cost within 3 days. And Monday morning, if this guy uploaded it, I mean, did you do it? No. Okay, this guy did it. It doesn't really matter to them, right? It doesn't really matter to them that they did. So that is called a contest. A contest is when you narrowly fight. The onslaught would be, okay, this is the difference between onslaught and contest. Onslaught would be keep a policeman in front of every theater, guard the film reels, watch for people who are copying it, and do it. That's called an onslaught. That you would need 10,000 of your people to monitor it. But a contest is a smartly managed show in which you just beat your competition the other way around. It primarily involves technology, whereas onslaught involves advertising, price cutting, and things like that. So coming back to Warner Brothers said, we are making the movies and the DVD distributor guys are making the money. So then they thought about it. Why don't we come up with something innovative? How much does it cost you? It costs you $1 to rent a movie. They went back to the drawing board. They worked with some of the finest CD manufacturers, and they were able to come up with a CD for $2. So now, why would you want to buy or borrow a DVD for $1 when you can have it for $2? And you can run it at your home 100 times, no problem. So by a smart management of service, they were able to beat one of their competitor, which was a cable distributor, by using what is called a new technology solution. That is how they were able to manage. That's the example of a contest where you bring in technology to beat your competition. Are you guys following me? Yes. Good. So the third one is called guerrilla campaign. what is guerrilla campaign? Any idea what is guerrilla war? Suddenly, any other word for that? Good, sudden attack. But in guerrilla war, is it okay to stab from the back? Yeah, anything goes. There are no rules in guerrilla war, right? I'll hide behind a bush and kill you, or there is no rules for the game. The citizens would be hurt, not the people. You know what happens. But what has guerrilla war got to do with marketing? Most of the examples of, and again, remember, these examples, I'm making it sound like a storytelling, but it takes years before these things happen. And so in real life, it takes years if you identify a guerrilla campaign, it takes to identify an onslaught and things like that. Most of the books talk about this thing called the progressive car insurance, which is a guerrilla campaign. But of late, there's another one which I'll actually like to talk about. It's a company called Haier. How many of you know a company called Haier? It's pretty popular now in India. Very recently, I don't think it was in the market about 5-6 years back, but it's come and become quite popular. Yeah, what is the other word for that? You said that word, I thought you, okay, unless my ears are, I thought you said white goods. No, you didn't say that. These kind of things are called white goods. Air conditioners, washing machine, microwave ovens, anything that goes into your home are called white goods. That's another terminology. What are griffin goods? Will also go up. Okay. Have you guys forgotten? No. Webel goods. Webel goods are the same thing, but for more expensive. Okay. Sponsors, huh? No? Following? Okay, good. Anyway, I'm not going to get there. So Haier was a Chinese company and they wanted to enter the American market. Now, American market is like, what is it? What are the first of the Porter's 5 forces? They'll not allow a new entrant to enter the market, especially after the trouble they had by allowing Toyota and Suzuki and all of them to enter the American automotive markets. They killed the American automotive market, right? I mean, they all, the German and the American, Japanese companies virtually killed the American auto market. So these times they were very clear. They will not allow a new player to enter into the market. But Haier is very keen to enter the market. If you go to, let's say, Chroma, or if you go to any other thing, if you ask for a particular brand that is not very popular, first thing is the shopkeeper will discourage you from buying it. He has already decided which model he should go to sell you. So you ask for anything else, he's going to tell you. But if you really want it, they'll say, sir, wo kone mein hai, jaake dekh. Correct? That's a reality of life. It is what it is. If you don't like the brand is not very popular. The brand is not encouraged. The salesman is not encouraged to promote that brand. So in such a situation, how does Haier enter into the business? Impossible. Let they go and advertise in the malls. The salesman is not going to promote it. You will not also get a window to showcase your product. That was when Haier did something very innovative. You look at the American culture and American life, whenever there's a long weekend, they drive. They go from place A to B, they go 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers, hang on somewhere. And in between, they get what is called a motel, which is a small kind of a hotel, a 2-3 star kind of hotel, stay there overnight and move. Now, Haier did something very interesting. Haier went to all these motels and said, take our air conditioner, take our television, take our fridge, and put them in your rooms. So now the motel guys are excited to get it. They're getting it at some cheap cost. So next time when he traveled on his weekend, started staying in a motel which had a hair air conditioner, which had a hair fridge, and which had a hair TV. And wow, the air conditioner is pretty quiet, pretty cozy. The TV colors are very good. The fridge was really cool. And not only that, you have physical experience. You've stayed in that room. You've played with the remote. You've felt the air conditioning behave. So in 2 or 3 days, you've experienced a hair product. And now when it's time to replace it, you go and notice somewhere in the corner is a hair washing machine. Wow, I know this. I use this air conditioner. Let me buy it. So that way, hair was overnight able to, through what is called a guerrilla campaign, beat the competitor. And before the competitor could realize, they had taken away a bit of a market share. That is what is called a guerrilla campaign. What is that? Mine. I don't know anything like this. No, it's not mine. Okay. Okay, good. So you guys follow guerrilla campaign? Done? Then we have what is called a feint. What is a feint? A feint is divert your attention and capture the market elsewhere. How many of you know about the Second World War, which happened in the bombing of Hawaii? Anybody know about that story? So what happened was Japan got into the war in the Second World War by bombarding the entire island city of Hawaii. What they did was, the Americans knew that Japanese is going to do something. So they were constantly watching the Japanese ship movement. The Japanese were very smart. They actually took their fleet of ships and moved eastward. So they thought that Japan is actually going to go and hit another American city on the east. So the Americans moved all their fleet towards east, and a smaller fleet went on west and bombed the city of Honolulu. So that way you divert your attention and you get to kill the thing. That happens. You've seen a lot of movies which they do it and divert your attention. But in business, what happens is, these are all, again, very limited storytelling because it takes a long time for the story to build. What Dell did was, Dell got into the PC market. Now, the PC market is captured and managed by HP and IBM. So HP and IBM were very dear. Attractiveness to you was very high for HP and IBM. So when Dell got into the PC market, HP and IBM said, we are not going to allow this guy to manage it. We are going to fight with him left, right, and center. So that was a purposefully done ploy by Dell. So when HP was busy fighting Dell in the PC market, Dell went and occupied the server market. So that is how the business happens. So these are one example of feint. Okay, you in your possible exam, you might be asked to define these things, and I'll give you the definition. Gambit. What is gambit? Gambit is when two companies fight and each of them give away one of their businesses. Now, to explain this further, you know Gillette. Gillette is virtually a monopoly when it comes to men shaving. Virtually a monopoly. I guess there's nobody here who's not using a Gillette. So what happens is, Gillette was having a huge mastery or a dominative market share in the men shaving business. And how does Gillette make money? What is their model? What is the model of Gillette making money? They make money on the stick or they make money on the cartridge. Just like the printers, right? Sell the printer free, make money on the cartridge. Similarly, you get the stick free, and then you make huge amount of money on the on the cartridge. And then the cartridge has got a blue strip. It says that the moment the blue strips becomes white, it's time to replace. Nothing like that. It just ploys for us to replace. Now, Bic was also in the shaving business. But what Bic realizes, Gillette is taking everybody for a ride, and there's so much of business that we can do. So Bic came up with something very interesting. Bic came up with what is called a disposable razor. A disposable razor is a plastic extrusion, and even we were using it for some time, and now it's trying to come back. It's a cheap thing. You use it a couple of times and just throw it off. So when Bic came up with disposable razors, there was a huge drop in market for Gillette. Gillette had nothing else to do and come back with their own disposable razors. This is like fighting with each other, nobody making money. So Gillette said, hey, what is happening here? We were having some bindas life. We were making money out of cartridges. And now Bic comes. None of us are making money. So they invite Bic for coffee. Bic and Gillette sit together and say, listen, do us a favor. Gillette was also in other businesses where Bic was occupied. So Gillette said, we will walk out of every other business that we compete with you. And you walk out of the razor business. That's a compromise. So Gillette walks out of every other business they compete with Bic. Bic walks out of the razor business, and overnight Gillette stops the production of disposable razors so that they continue to flee the customers. So these are the 5 examples of how things work. There is one slide which explains harvesting. I think harvesting is dividing the market for each company. Harvesting is very easy to explain today. If you look at it, who has actually invented the vaccine? Oxford AstraZeneca, right? Oxford AstraZeneca invents the vaccine. They give it to Serum Institute of India and say, you run the Asian business, we will run the European business. Harvesting is like that. Distribute the market so that each of you survive and there's no competition. So finally, these are the 5 or the 4 or 6 of them that is there. There's a definition for each of these. You'll be able to do that. Okay? Right? So any questions on this? Any questions on this, please? No? You've understood it very well? Is there a question? Share screen. Okay. Okay, guys. So I'm done. I'm done with my classes. And I hope you guys found these classes interesting. All the very best. And this is the way. If you want, you guys can reach me out wherever you want. I have also become smarter. I was using Google Forms and a link. Now I'm using QR code for you guys to reach me out. So say hello whenever you see me, and all the very best to you guys. Okay, good. And don't forget to submit by this weekend. Yes. Okay, online, very quiet. What's happening? I have a lot of inside information. Which one do you want? Actually, I have uploaded all that inside information in the LMS. All the PPTs are there for you to read. Apart from that,
Sir, any important questions, sir?
What is that? What is that important question? Tips for the exam?
Yes, sir. we are writing exams after like.
Tips for the exam, I'll actually tell you. I normally don't tell others, but then you've been a very good batch of students. So I'll tell you, work hard. Okay. Okay.
That we do, sir.
You'll do it, right? Then why worry about it? Right? I don't think if I know you all well, I don't think you need any help. I don't think you're a bright set of, what would I say, kids or whatever. Do all. Okay. Right. Okay. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'll upload these by tomorrow onto the LMS. My pleasure. Good, man. Good. All the best.
Thank you so much.
All the best. Yeah, next time you see me somewhere, make sure you come and say hello. Okay? Yeah. Come to? No, I don't teach. I'm a kindergarten teacher. I only teach first term. Yeah, there's some very fine lecturers who teach you other things. All the best. Yeah, let's take a selfie. Who's the tallest man here? Come. Who's the tallest man here? Come. I'll put it on the group. All the best. Yeah. I saw some of them. Yeah, I think it's fine. I don't know. I've seen it. No, but not in any other way. I've seen it. I saw 4 of them had uploaded 3 days back. So yours was one of them. I definitely saw it. But you had some problem, right? Was you or somebody else? Not quite a problem. Not a problem. Not that big. There was somebody saying that I have not been able to serve. Manjunath here. That's what he said, Manjunath. I have not been able to upload assignment 1. No. Okay. Yeah, but it's very clear. Those of you who have uploaded assignment 1 late, marks by default dismiss. That's the rule of the college. Right. Yes.